Welcome to the pregame show here on the Spartan Digital Network, joined as always by Coach Jason Buryanek. And Coach, homecoming part 2, second homecoming while you've been here, and hoping to bring that homecoming magic back. Last year you got your first win on homecoming, trying to do the same this week. Talk a little bit about St. Ambrose, though, to get started. That was your last game. You enjoyed a bye week last week. Ambrose came in. They're a tough team. We talked a little bit about that with Harry Schrader, but you know, you had a chance to practice a little bit last week and really get some much-needed recovery time. How has that affected the team so far?
It seems like has been pretty good for us. The bye week came at a very good time for us. So I think we had 7 games in a row, and we had some injuries, so we could get some guys healed up, get guys like Eddie Calderon hopefully back, got some of our offensive linemen that have been banged up back, and then I think Austin Schulten and Torio Barton will be back at least. We may not be able to use them like we would do on a normal situation where we're playing them 30, 35 plays, but they'll be able to give some needed rest to those other running backs. So it came at a great time. St. Ambrose was a game that I think we let slip a little bit. I thought we took another step forward. You know, that's a team that's right on the cusp of being in the top 25 nationally, and we hung with them and gave them a lot of problems. So I was really proud of the way we played. Just came down to something that's plagued us throughout the year, just not finishing drives on offense and ultimately on defense, giving up too many explosion plays throughout the course of the game that ended up costing us in the end. You know, we had the ball inside the 5, I think twice, and both times we threw interceptions, and that's something that you know, Jake comes to the sideline, he feels terrible about, and give Ambrose credit. One time they dropped a defensive end and he didn't see him and threw it right to him. That's all part of being a freshman and learning the position and just continuing to grow. But overall, I thought we took a step forward. It's just, you know, we've got to get over that hump, and a lot of that is young players and continuing to progress in the things that we're asking them to do.
St. Ambrose is a team, of course, that is now appearing in the top 25 again in that poll. When you look at that game and you see you only allowed 30 points, and I say only because that's the least amount of points this team has allowed this season, and I think that speaks volumes about where the defense has come from and where they're going to. What is the progression on this defense? Where are they trending in your eyes?
Well, they're on an upward trend for sure. You know, we came off that Marion game and we had some injuries and we had some guys playing positions that we weren't sure. They were a little bit out of position just out of necessity due to depth. But we came out of that Marion game and really challenged the entire team, but specifically the defense, that they've got to take a step forward. They've got to, you know, get off the field on third down. They've got to make teams put drives together instead of just giving up big plays. I think from that point on, they've done a really good job of answering the bell. Now, like I said, what's plagued us is we will force a long drive and then give up a big play. And so that's something that we've put a lot of emphasis on over these last 2 weeks. We emphasize it on a weekly basis, but we've made a couple corrections here and there to help guys out. But ultimately, you know, they've got to just step up and make a play when we need it. I thought they did that in that St. Ambrose game. One thing that we had not been good about is when we get a big play or give up a big play is holding that team to a field goal or getting off the field and not giving up any points. And we did that consistently throughout the game. The only touchdown we gave up was on the opening kickoff, you know, where it was really a big play type situation. We gave up a couple other drives, but you know, we gave up a big play. They got the ball on the 9-yard line, but even though they came away with a touchdown, we forced them to go 3 downs, and they really had to work for that touchdown. So we've made steps in the right direction there. We're definitely on an upward trend. A lot of that has been because of guys like Malik Ross making big impact on the defensive line. This week we get Sean Geary back, who we lost in the Marion game, and I'm excited to see what he can do back there at the Mike linebacker position. And Caleb Carver did a great job as a freshman, and what I told him is he just got to continue to learn and grow, and he'll be just fine. But he did a great job in the meantime, and he'll continue to be a good football player for us.
Defense is going to be a point of emphasis this week. We look at a Concordia team coming in. They're going to make that long trip from Ann Arbor. We've already made that trip once this year. I don't even want to think about that type of a trip again, and we're going to have that almost on a yearly basis. But looking at this team, They're going to bring a big option run, and it's just pretty much straight up option what you used to think about in college football. A lot of power, a lot of dives. What are you focusing on this week in order to stop that type of an offense?
We've been spending a lot of time over the last 2 weeks on really just discipline. That's how you beat option teams. If you're disciplined in what you do, everybody knows what their job is, everybody knows who they're covering on every play, then you can have success against option football teams. The challenge is to do that repeatedly on every play and understand they run the option out of a lot of different formations.
Mm-hmm. A lot of motion,
and that changes you. So, I think I drew up about 15 different ways that they run the option. We've given it to the guys. We show it to them repeatedly. We show it to them slowed down. We speed it up. Just making sure that we've got a guy accounting for the tailback, a guy accounting for the quarterback, and a guy accounting for the pitch man. If we can do that, and they've done a really good job here in practice of doing that, but if we can do that on Saturday, we're going to take away the option and ultimately force them to do something else against us. Now, they are very good at other things as well, but everything else that they do, we've seen before, and we've done a pretty good job defending it. It's going to be challenging for them. They give you a lot of different looks, and we've got to just be very disciplined. Something we talk about a lot is eye discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let all these smoke and mirrors, don't let somebody else take away your focus of what you're supposed to be doing. Don't try to do somebody else's job. And so we spend a lot of time on that throughout the day in practice, and hopefully that'll show up on Saturday.
This is a team that has thrilling victories, but now they're on a 3-game losing streak coming into this game. I mean, they beat St. Xavier when they were ranked number 5 in the country. I was watching film on that, and they really didn't have an answer for their option. But last 3 weeks, not so much the same story. St. Francis, Indiana beat them when they were ranked 7th and really just kind of pounded them 48-7. Marion just took their best shot at them and beat them 44-0. They're going to be hungry coming into this game, but you guys are just as hungry. You want your first win as well. What type of advice are you giving to your guys this week in this type of a game?
Take a step forward. That's the biggest thing. I think when you look at the Taylor game, the Belleville game, St. Ambrose, over the last really 4 weeks or 3 weeks, we have taken steps forward in both sides of football. We've got to be sound in special teams. We've been better there than we were early in the season. But we've got to take a step forward. We've got to make sure that the offense keeps the defense off the field. The other way to beat the option is don't let them have a lot of possessions. So we did that a lot better against St. Ambrose, especially in the second half. I think our defense was out there for 5 drives in the second half, which was awesome for them. They got a lot of rest. The offense was moving the ball, taking time off the clock. So we've got to do that on the offensive side of the ball, and then ultimately defensively, like I said, we've got to be disciplined in what we do. This is a team that is very similar to us, I think. They've had a couple more wins. They're a little bit more advanced in where their program is at. I think they're in year 5, I think, as a program. They had a huge win against St. Xavier at home. And then ultimately they played St. Francis, Indiana, and Marion, who are 2 very, very good football teams. We'll see St. Francis, Indiana in 2 weeks, and obviously we already played Marion. So there's no shame in losing to them. I mean, those are very, very good football teams. They're top 10, top 5 in the country for a reason. So there's not a whole lot that we can say about them and say maybe they're not a very good team because of that. They just face good teams, and they're just not quite at that level, but neither are we. So we've got to protect our home field, and we've got to make sure that we all understand what this means to win a homecoming game. And we've talked about that throughout the week of how last year winning our homecoming game meant a lot to everybody, and we've got to go out and handle our business on Saturday.
Homecoming game, a lot more focus this week on football and athletics, as every homecoming is. A little bit different of an opportunity, though. Earlier this week, had a chance to dedicate the field, and that was a really special opportunity for us all to really pay tribute to all that's went in on it. What were your thoughts on that day? Because it seemed to be a really emotional day for a lot of people.
I think when you sit back and you look at where we've come in the last 2 years, you kind of have to pinch yourself and realize that this is really happening, that the school really did invest in something that is unbelievable, not only for us, but for the men's and women's soccer team and men's and women's lacrosse team. And Dr. Smith and I always laugh and joke about the fact that when I was on my interview, he made very specific point to tell me that at no time in my tenure will we have a field. So it's really unbelievable to see how far we've come and realize that the investment that not only the athletic department but has made, but Dr. Lacey and the Board of Trustees and the school in general. It's a top-notch facility, and I think you just sit back and you realize that this time last year we were breaking ground, and just all the work and how that came to be in such a short period of time is pretty unbelievable.
It's Coach Jason Buryanek. I'm Brad Seigan. Coming up for you here in just a few moments is kickoff of today's game between the Concordia Cardinals and your Missouri Baptist Spartans. Kevin Paulus, Harry Schrader will be on the call for you.